we are going to discuss the relationship of the tax and elasticities. So when tax increase, you definitely know that price will also go up. Do you agree on this? So, if demand is very elastic, and if tax go up, price still go up, but not too much. So it means that main portion of tax paid by producers or suppliers. Okay? You know, it's just a real life example and real life intuition. Why it is so? Because if you are selling something and if there is a new tax, you will think that if I increase prices too much, quantity of a good demand will go down because demand is very elastic. So you will still increase price, but not too much. So it means that you will sacrifice, as a supplier, you will sacrifice some of your profit. Let's give a numerical example. You are selling something and the price is 50. Let's say that there's a new tax is 30. If demand is perfectly inelastic, what's going to happen? Price will go and be 80. Why? Because demand is perfectly inelastic means that whatever let's say that it is 120, whatever the price is, quantity of a good demand, it doesn't go up or down. It's the same. So if the demand is perfectly inelastic, when there is new tax, price go up, how much tax go up? What's going on? There's a new tax, and these taxes paid by consumers. The whole of the tax, all of the amount of the tax paid by the consumers. Why? Demand is very elastic. Demand is perfectly inelastic. Demand gets elastic. Producers will start to pay some portion of the tax. For example, they will pay a little, and when it's very elastic, I mean like that, then huge amount of, or the main portion of tax will be paid by the producers. Why? Because if you increase price, let me show you here. If you increase price, demand will go up too much. So you just go down. So if the demand is very elastic, then, for example, let's say that there's a 30 units of tax, then maybe price will be 55, maybe price will be 60. So what does it mean then? It means that there's a 30 units of new tax. Main portion of this tax paid by producers. Okay? Main portion of this tax is paid by the producers. Why? Because demand is very elastic. If the supply shifts to the left too much, and because of this reason demand decreases too much, then it means that there will be a problem. For example, if government runs or puts a new tax on the cigarette, what's going to happen? Yeah, price will go up, and most probably main proportion of the tax will be paid by consumers. But for example, other good that it's you can give it about the elastic demand. Can you give an example about it? Yeah, maybe books, for example. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, we buy less book.
No, for the school. It's so there is an elastic demand, and it's there is a new tax for the total sale. So the most part of the tax will pay by the producers, because there is an elastic demand, and if the price will go up, the quantity will go up.
Yeah. So let's just let's set up a simple model. Okay, let's set up a simple model. So if we are talking about September, and if there is a new tax, on the copybooks or notebooks, I mean hard copy notebooks, not the these high tech. So if there is new tax on the copybooks and notebooks on the September, as demand is very inelastic, demand why in the September for the copybooks and notebooks? Yeah, because the new term starts. People who goes for the secondary school, primary school, high school, and university, everybody wants to buy copybooks and notebooks. So in September, when there is a new tax, main portion of the tax will be paid by the consumers, because there is inelastic demand. But when you move to, for example, let's say that January, February, or March, people have already bought a lot of notebooks and copybooks. If there is an increase in these prices, then what's going to happen? Main portion of the tax will be paid by the suppliers, because they will think that if there is not any too much demand, so demand is very elastic. So if because of the tax we increase prices too much, then quantity of a good demand will go down too much also. So they will take up the main portion of the tax. Excuse me?
You can think that it's temporary.
Yeah. So, for example, in this case, they give some examples about this. I think if I draw this, it would be nice. Okay. So you see this one? Okay. There's a new tax, and demand is very inelastic. So the amount of tax is $0.5. Amount of tax is $0.5. Okay? Please look at this one. Amount of the tax is $0.5. So what's going to happen? On the previous part, our price was 1. And if demand was perfectly inelastic, price is supposed to be, come on, make a brainstorming. Thank you very much. 1.5. So what about the price right now? 1.4. So it means that some portion of tax will be paid by producers, and the remaining part, 0.4, paid by consumers. But please come to this part. In this case, if the demand is perfectly inelastic, all tax will be paid by the consumers. But in this case, demand is very, very elastic. So it means that demand is very elastic. If price go up, quantity of a good demand will go down too much. So the same amount of tax came to, added up to the price. So what's going to happen? Price in the first one, producers are very brave. Producers are very, very comfortable to increase the price. But on the second one, producers are not that much comfortable anymore. They only increase price 10 cents. And it gets to 1.10. If you can see, it's 1.10. So main portion of, please look at the remaining part, main portion of the tax paid by the producers. These yellow, part, yellow. And the remaining part, just for the, yeah. So if you can see, for example, in this part, quantity of good demanded goes down just a little because demand is inelastic. But in this part, quantity of good demanded goes down too much because demand is very elastic. Main portion of tax paid by consumers because demand is very elastic. Main portion of the tax paid by consumers, consumers because demand is very inelastic. Okay? I don't know whether we have left something or not. Okay. Just, I want to show you something. I think let's also demand. We have a straight curve. And in this straight curve, we are going to have, this one. So as we have a straight line, the upper portion of this line will be elastic demand. Lower part of this, demand curve will be inelastic, and the middle part, the main middle part, we will call it unit elastic. How it can happen? Why do you think that it could be?
Because the intersection points of demand curve with axis, one of them is
maybe a different price of demand change. Elasticity of demand change. Does the price change?
So why the upper portion of the demand curve is said to be elastic? Why the lower portion? Look at this numerical example, and you can draw this conclusion very easily.
Because of total revenue?
Yeah, please look at this one. If you have an elastic portion of demand, then to increase total revenue, best way was, what was the best way? To decrease the price. So you decrease the price, your total revenue go up. For example, let's say that the price is 9, you sell 2 units of good, total revenue is 18. When you decrease price to 8, you start to sell 4, and your total revenue goes to 32. So when you are on the elastic portion of demand, it's very adequate, it's very logical or plausible or reasonable to decrease price. Your total revenue will go up. And when you are on the inelastic demand, inelastic portion of demand, the very best way to increase price. For example, the price is 1 and you sell 18. Your total revenue is 18. When price goes to 2, you just sell 16 and the total revenue 32. So it means that on the inelastic portion of demand, you can increase total revenue by increasing prices. Please look at this one. The price was 1, total revenue 18. Price go up 2, and total revenue gets up. Okay, gets up, and then it goes to maximum. So the main reason, main concept that you should always recall, you should always have to recall is that elasticity, price elasticity of demand is always about percentage changes. So, for example, when you look at the upper part of it, Please look at the upper part. So what about price changes? Price changes, if you take it as a percentage, just a small, but quantity of a good demand changes as a percentage higher than the change in price. So this is why we say that it's the elastic portion of demand. So please look at this part. Price is 1. Price go up to, what's the percentage increase? 100%. But when you look at the quantity of a good demand, it goes down. Yeah, it's not that much higher. So as price elasticity of demand is mainly about the percentage change, it means that when you look at the percentage change, you will see that this part is inelastic, another part is elastic. Okay, everybody? Shamstan, what's the problem? Oh. Okay. So, do we know what the percentage change is? Okay, nice. So, please let me say this one. When price go up from 1 to 2, what's the percentage change in price? 100%, right? So, what was our formula for the price elasticity of demand? Percentage change in quantity of a good demanded divided by the percentage change in price. So when you move from 1.1 from 2, the percentage change in 100%. But when you look at the quantity of a good demanded, it's definitely less than 100. So result will be less than 1. Result will be less than 1. So we said that in this part of the lower part of the flat curve, or straight curve, we say that there is inelastic demand. But when you look at the upper part, for example, you see that the price go up from 8 to 9, the percentage change is not too much. But when you look at, for example, price go up from 8 to 9, but quantity of a good demand goes down from 4 to 2. It goes down 50%. What about this one? It's definitely, less than 50%. So it means that a small increase in the price causes quantity of a good demand to go down too much. So it means that we are on the elastic portion of demand. That's right? Nice. So, if we have chapter 10 on the... So, with the chapter 10, I think you have consumer choice theory. I think you have known this about. Excuse me? Oh, it's that much? It's interesting. Wow. Is there chapter 10? Yes. Wow, it's still 9. Excuse me? Okay, here are the chapter 10 and consumer choice theory. So, you know that, by the way, are we comfortable on the chapter 6?
No.
Okay. So we are 2%, yes, that's it. So do you have any questions about chapter 6?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
The last one.
Last one is confusing. So, we look at the percentage change. So, price elasticity of demand is about the percentage changes. So when we are against to this straight line, we go and look at the percentage changes. Please go and calculate these percentage changes on this straight line. So you will see that when there is a huge percentage change in price, if there is a huge percentage change in quantity of demand also, then you will look at the magnitudes of it. Then you will see that on the upper portion of the demand curve, there will definitely be elastic demand. But on the lower portion of the demand curve, there will be inelastic demand. Why? It's only about the numbers. If you go and look at these numbers, if you calculate the percentage, then you will see that the numbers come out like that. We have a numerical example. I show you where is it. It's on your textbook also, course book. Please go to your house and check it out. Still have problems? No, you can come and ask. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, exactly. But just as they are, the intersection points are just one point. It's not a curve. We have to keep in mind that just for these points, okay, for only these points. We have to, just keep in mind that it's not a curve. It's just one dot. One point. Okay? So I know that you are the hardworking guys, and you will this night, you go to your house and you will study all this stuff too much, and you will write me emails, and you will come and write something to e-learning, and you will study too much. So this is why the students on the other universities, they adore you, they admire you, that how successful, how hardworking, how intellectual guys you are. Okay? Yeah, just please put it as a subtitle. Somebody can read it if they understand in Azerbaijan. Anyways, you know that demand curve is negative slope, has a negative slope. You know that there is a negative relationship. There is a negative relationship between price and quantity of a good demand. Okay, but right now, we are going to explain why demand curve is, or why demand curve should be positive, negative sloped. So on the previous, previous section, previous chapter, we explained, and on an intuition level, you already know that if price go up, quantity of a good demand go down. If price go down, quantity of a good demand will go up. You already know that, and it makes sense. In real life, it makes sense. But why it happens so? Because we have some explanations why it happens. Yeah. So for this reason, we are going to look at the consumer behavior. And when we look at the consumer behavior, we see that downward sloping demand curve has three explanations. First one is that income and substitution effects of a price change. So, when price go up or when price go down, when price go up and when price go down, there will be two effects. First one is substitution effect, other one is income effect. So, you already know what the substitute means, right? So, substitution effect means that when a goods price go up too much or just a little, consumer switch out to other goods. So we call it substitution effect. For example, as I know that there is two GSM operators in Azerbaijan, and let's say that the one is Zersel, the other one is Aksel. Okay? So when price of Zersel go up too much, what you are going to do? You will switch out to Aksel, and quantity of Aksel demand will go up. So we call it substitution. Or Aksel price go down. If Aksel price go down too much, or just, if you know, for the young people, as I know, they generally use Excel. Because it's so. What in fact you experienced in substitution effect in real life. Somebody who is the Zersel, they increase. You know, they don't do anything about prices. So young people move to Excel, and Zersel quant demand goes down. We call it substitution effect. Also, it's the substitution. Please come to income effect. Income effect is about your purchasing power. Income effect is about your purchasing power. So, what's your monthly income? Your month, how much income do you have in month? 80 manats. Okay. Okay. Do you have a scholarship?
Yes.
200 manats or something?
No, 40.
Okay. So let's say that your scholarship is 200 manats. Okay. And you have allowance 50 Azerbaijani manats, but it's not daily. Okay? It's for a month. For a month, Aladdin, can you come back? Okay. 250 Azerbaijani manats. Your monthly income. So it's you. I know that your scholarship and allowance is higher than that, but just imagine that, you know, it happens in real life. Okay? So imagine that you buy Excel, and for the 10 manats, you buy 30 minutes of, you know, credit to talk on the phone. 300 minutes for 10 Azerbaijani manats. So when Excel prices go up, let's say that to 25 Azerbaijani manats, with the same amount of money, so excuse me, when the price is 10 Azerbaijani manats, it means that with this money, with this income, you could buy 25 of these 300 minutes. But when price go to 25, you could buy only the same minutes, only 10. What does it mean? It means that purchasing power of your money goes down. For any reason, if the price go up, and if everything else remain constant, I mean your income remain constant, purchasing power of your income will go down. You could do it for the bread, you could do it for the sugar, you could do it for the clothes, you could do it for other things. If your income remains the same, and if price go up, purchasing power of your income goes down. When your purchasing power decreases because of this good, what's going to happen? You will move to other brand names. So because you are not able to buy, you cannot afford too much from this good, you will try to buy other goods. So it means that income effect is about your purchasing power. When price go up, your purchasing power go down. So because of this reason, you have to look for other options. When price go down, then your purchasing power of your income goes up. Then you keep going and you start to buy more and more. Okay?
We don't mention about imperial.
It's the, you know, when you look at the income effect, it's the income effect of price change. But it still applies to the, you know, to the inferior goods. No problem. I mean, but in this case, your income go up. Do you understand my point? In our simple model, we try to keep income constant, and let's see what's going to happen if price go up and down. But on the inferior good issue, income goes up and down, and then we see what's going to happen the quantity of a good demand or demand. Okay, just a moment. So our next explanation is about the utility. Utility. Utility is something that you can get it from when you consume something. For example, you eat something, you get utility. You buy something to wear, it's utility. Yeah, kind of, yeah, levels of. But utility is a relative issue. Utility is a relative issue. For example, let's say that you like garlic and you eat 1 kilogram of garlic. So when you eat 1 kilogram of garlic, before the macroeconomics class, you feel very good, but we don't feel very good. Okay, so yeah, when you like garlic and you eat this garlic, then your satisfaction go up. So it's your utility. But for example, maybe your colleague who doesn't like the garlic, they don't, they are not going to have any satisfaction. You understand? So are we comfortable with what the utility is? So when you have something, let's imagine that you are very hungry. Okay, you are very hungry. You took the first slice of food and you try to chew it. So you are very hungry. The first slice you chew, you start to chew. How do you feel? Very good, right? It's very delicious. You feel very good. We call it utility. Okay. For example, imagine that for a long time you want to buy a coat, a red coat, for example, for the ladies, red coat. You every time you go window shopping. Do you know window shopping? Yes. Yeah, you go window shopping and you see it, and every time you want to buy it, one day you buy it. When you buy it, you wear it and you feel very good. It's the utility. Yeah. Nice. What's going to happen? I know that you are very excited, but unfortunately time is over. I will see you next week. Have a good weekend. Excuse me.